Today we are going to create a small Rust program that asks users to guess the horsepower of Tesla Model S car. So let's just start writing the program in Rust language. First, we already know that horsepower is actually a constant variable. It's not going to change. So we can use a const keyword to declare a constant variable here and assign the value of the horsepower. So let's just write constant, then the name, and the naming convention for constants is in uppercase. So we are going to use those letters: Tesla underscore model underscore S underscore HP, and then the data type of this variable we can assign under the integer unsigned integer here, and the value is 1020 for this horsepower. And in later in the future we are going to discuss in more detail about different data types and which one you can use for your specific scenario. So once you have that idea, you can choose different data types. Okay, so now we are going to update the println macro here on line number 3, and we are just going to display a message to the user that please input your guess for the horsepower of Tesla Model S car. Okay, so let's just write it, and it's almost done here. Okay, so now we have to ask the users. We basically have to take the input from users. Luckily, when you download Rust, there is a standard library that's also included there, and you can import that library, and with that there is a module IO, input output, which means, and using that IO module you can basically take inputs from the user as well as write them. So let's just import this library. So we will write the use keyword here for the library, and then std, and then the IO module here, IO. Okay, so we have imported this IO module now. This comes with the Rust standard library, and now we are basically take the input from the user, and since it will be a string type input, we will declare a new variable here using the let keyword, let mutable user underscore guess, and mutable because this value can change later in the future, and we can use a string new function here, new method here, and basically it initializes the variable with an empty string, and this kind of string can change in length in the future, so you can increase the length or even decrease it. So it's like a variable length of string. Now we are going to write here io dot std in, which basically returns a structure std in type, and with that it has different methods for taking user inputs from the current process. So with this struct we can call the read line method, and basically it takes a mutable string parameter. So we are going to pass our parameter user guess variable here as a parameter. So just paste it here, write it here, sorry about that, here. Okay, let me see. We have to pass the reference here, and I think this should be mutable as well, so we might have to use the mutable keyword. One more thing here is that this can also return an error while taking the input, so we have to handle this error. And for right now this function returns actually a result type of enum. We don't want to go into much details, but we can call just one function which can crash the code in case of error and display a specific message. So for that we can call the expect method here using dot expect, and it takes only one parameter, which is the error message here or panic message. So we will write here that something like we cannot take the input from the user, or error taking the input, something like that. Okay, so let's just write this. And yeah, we had to use add the mutable keyword as well. First just format it a little bit, and now add the mutable keyword with the reference in the read line function. So yeah, so now I think once I save, yeah, all the errors are like resolved now, and we are basically taking the input and saving it in our variable. And now the next step is actually convert this string type to an integer type, so we can compare it with our horsepower. So right now this is a string type which is user guess. So there is one function which is parsing function, and with that you can convert the type string type into an integer type. So we are going to create a new variable here first with the unsigned integer type, and this is like basically shadowing the previous variable. So from line 7 to 12, the compiler knows that the user underscore guess is a string variable type, right? And then there's a new variable created on line number 13. So previous variable is now dropped, so we can't use the string variable and its value after line number 13 here, because it's shadowing the previous variable. And now here we are going to first call the trim method and then the parse method. With trim you are just clearing up the empty spaces from both the left and right sides of the string. Once we do that, we can call the parse function, which basically converts it to an integer type, and this also returns a result type of enum here. And we can again call the expect method here to crash the program if the value is not valid. So, and here the message could be that your input is actually correct, like you have to write the input number here. So one more thing here is that if the user input is like 1 2 3 in this variable, then after pass it will be converted into 1 2 3, which is an integer type. And if the input is like some characters like apple, then the pass function will fail here, and in those scenarios you are actually getting an error here, so we can't pass it to an integer number. So this is how like the parse works. So the message here can be, please actually write the please input the correct valid number actually. And also with the trim function, let's just write one more comment to discuss about it. So for example, if you have like one empty space first and then 1 2 3 numbers like this, then once you call the trim function, it will remove that empty white space. And same goes if it's on the left side, on the right side of the number. Even on both sides, then trim will actually remove all the white spaces in both of these scenarios. So that's why we are first calling the trim and then the parsing function. So okay, so right now this code is actually looking quite good. We have the user guess as an integer type now, and now we can start comparing it with our horsepower value actually. So with with each integer there is a method that you can call, which is compare method. We are just going to use it here, like user underscore guess dot compare, and then here we have to pass the value with which we are comparing, and it can be here Tesla Model S horsepower. Okay, like this. And yeah, once this let me check first here. I think there's a syntax error here, failed to resolve use of undeclared state. So yeah, this will be a single dot here for the method type. And so this compare function actually returns an ordering type of enums. So if you don't know about enums, there are also a specific data type. And with ordering enum, you can get three kind of values. Either you can get less value, which means that your guess is actually lesser than the horsepower. You can also get the greater value kind, and also the equal value kind, like for all of the three scenarios. So first we have to import this enum here using the standard .compare.ordering. So it's basically saved in the compare module, so we are importing it here, the ordering enum. And yeah, so like this you have three types here: less, equal, and greater. So our result could be one of this, right? It could be lesser, it could be equal, or it could be greater when we compare the user input with the Tesla Model S horsepower. So we can use the mesh keyword. If you are familiar with the JavaScript background, it's similar to switch case statements. So with this, it is actually an exhaustive check. So we have to cover all the scenarios. We have to cover the less scenario, the greater scenario, and even the equal scenario. So if I start with the greater scenario, like ordering, if the value is ordering dot greater, if the result is, then we just want to show a message, that your guess is actually greater than the Tesla Model S horsepower value, like this. And here we can use a println macro, and the message could be your guess is actually greater than the Tesla Model S horsepower. And so we are covering this scenario. Now what happens if the value is actually lesser, like the user's input is less than the Tesla Model S horsepower? Then we can use the less enum here, ordering.less, with println macro here. Your guess is actually lesser than the Tesla Model S horsepower. So we have covered two scenarios. Now there will be a success scenario in case if the user guess matches with the Tesla Model S horsepower. We will write here ordering equal, and we can just show a success message that you win, actually, like you have guessed the correct value, so you win. Okay, so this is working, I think, fine. We don't have any syntax error thanks to Rust Analyzer. With that extension we can check all of these errors even before compiling the code. So now once we run it, we first get the input message that please input your HP guess. We write 30. Then we get the message that your guess is actually less than Tesla Model S HP. Now we will try to enter a greater value than the horsepower, like 2000. So let's just try this. This is also working fine. We are getting your guess is greater than Tesla Model S horsepower. Okay, so now maybe try entering an invalid input like Apple or something and see what happens, because the parsing function on line number 16 should return an error like please input valid number. So let's write Apple, and yeah, so this is also working properly fine. Our error handling, we are getting this message. Now let's just test the final scenario here. If the guess is actually right, like 1020. Okay, so this also works fine. We have written the whole code. So this is it for today. Thank you so much for watching this video. Hopefully we are going to cover more exercises in the future with a lot more complexity. We are also going to write more complex programs. So thank you.